private engagement, taking his son Prince George to a soccer game.
Guys, it's April the 18th,
abdominal surgery in London.
2024. Once again, it's April the 18th, 2024.
Shocking cancer diagnosis.
The surgery was successful. However, tests after the operation.
Excuse me.
Cancer has been present.
Can I see that it's April 18th, 2024 on your cell phone? Yep. Thank you, Alice. But yeah, it's April the 18th, 2024, and Alice is not gonna say that he lied to me about the date. Actually, what it is today. It's actually April 18th, 2024. I'm not imagining stuff. And Ellis, my security detail roommate, he's not gonna lie about that either. So I have a few topics I need to touch on, but okay. So guys, what has gone out over the past 2 or 3 days regarding the UN Security Council? Well, some of the folks, signed documents stating that I requested assisted suicide and stuff of that nature. That's not true. Why would I request assisted suicide? Do I look like a person who's actually contemplating, killing myself? Do you see how hard I work and how enthusiastic I am about the future of my current situation and what it's going to be in a few weeks? There's no reason to believe that I'm going to commit suicide or anything of that nature. I want you guys to understand this. So the UN Security Council made decisions that some of the folks who are my family members, appear to have had their signatures placed on assisted suicide documents with respect to me and similar documents. They said it's my decision on whether or not to renounce their judgment that these individuals are going to have to succumb to their own suicide, lethal suicide. And it's my decision whether I provide leniency. I will be able to audit and investigate and see if these people, who are my family members, friends, colleagues, and some of them my enemies, clear as day, really planned on having me killed and in preparation, while they were always in preparation of providing documents, stating that I requested being assisted in suicide, in conducting suicide. Okay, so essentially I'm going to have to state this again. I'm going to have to communicate this again. My family members, some of my colleagues, and even enemies of mine who I've made note of, over the past few months consistently, were addressed on certain documents stating that signatures of these individuals were placed on assisted suicide documents, medical documents, communicating falsely that I requested assisted suicide. So I'm going to do the auditing along with the rest of my executive Central Intelligence Agency regarding management and INTERPOL within our partnership. We are going to audit and investigate this particularity, and we're going to provide our recommendations to the UN Security Council, NATO, INTERPOL, and the ICJ, and the Department of Justice, and the state authorities who had to say yes to these individuals signing deals to conduct suicide on their own behalf, to actually commit suicide themselves in fear of being placed on stakes, burnt alive, or placed into our prisons for the rest of their lives and then executed 20, 30, 40 years down the line. Or have their children succumb to unlawful death by the hands of NATO agents and officers who no longer respect the laws of the United States of America, if the United States of America no longer respects its Constitution. Also, I'm telling you, the NATO agents and INTERPOL and CIA and DOJ and the ICJ and the ICC and so forth, when they get together and they assess the situation, they're very pragmatic and rational in very obscure ways. So I don't want my family members, those who actually love me or still have some level of love for me after having been brainwashed apparently, over the past few years or even decade or so into believing that I tried to sabotage the happiness of their lives or even their lives itself. You know, their lives themselves. I guess themselves actually makes sense. Makes more sense in that context. But okay, so yeah, Clay Crispin John, that's my biological father. And when this judgment came out that he and my and the mother of my sibling, my half sibling from Canada, signed documents. When the judgment came out that they needed to succumb or surrender to suicide, both of them, along with Dan and Ethel Williams, the biological parents of Rashida Williams, because they signed similar documents regarding me, Shawn Dexter John, and Rashida Williams in secret. When they got to the point of seeing that those documents actually looked real enough, that Shawn Dexter John, I'm going to have to provide this to you guys right now. I am one person. Shawn Dexter John is one person. There aren't multiple personalities or multiple individuals anywhere working together as one singular entity at all. In referencing myself as Shawn Dexter John. I want you guys to get that out of the way. But this is what we found out. And this is what Rashida Williams is having a very hard time comprehending. Her family members, Dan and Ethel Williams, were coerced into signing documents stating that she requested assisted suicide without knowing it. And she now knows that they were serious. They actually gave up on her surviving. The FBI agents who got to the point of stressing them out to that particular level of pain and surrender to the most awful of fates are going to get in a lot of trouble. So Melvin Otey, you're not a lawyer. You're not a defendant for Rashida Williams. You're not a defendant of Rashida Williams and LeBron James and co. Letitia James, you are not in representation of Rashida Williams or Rashida Williams and co. You're not in representation of any family member of mine. Melvin Otey, you guys got caught. You guys signed those documents stating that Ethel and Dan Williams requested assisted suicide regarding their daughter, Rashida Williams, and Shawn Dexter John if they were to ever get together ever again. Melvin Otey, you are going to have to succumb and surrender to suicide, and not suicide watch. You guys are going to have to endure suicide. All of the individuals I have documented are going to have to, as having breached the law in that particular way, and having requested the murder of Shawn Dexter John and Rashida Williams, or Shawn Dexter John or Rashida Williams. All those who stated that Shawn Dexter John and Rashida Williams, or Shawn Dexter John or Rashida Williams, appeared to have been suicidal back in Washington, D.C. and Miami. All those who coerced Dan and Ethel Williams into signing those documents. All those who coerced Clay Crispin John and Esan Fullerton or Lisanne Williams or Testman John into signing those documents, or appearing to have consented to individuals copying or replicating their signatures onto documents related to this particular matter, are going to have to face that condemnation. They're going to have to face that fate of having to submit to suicide. Okay? They have to get to the point of accepting that right now. And only I can reverse any of those judgments. Once again, I'm going to have to provide this to you guys explicitly. And I'm not speaking of any sexual content. When I say explicitly, I mean comprehensively, detailed, and without any room for misinterpretation. Listen, you guys are going to have to surrender to committing suicide based on what INTERPOL and the ICJ and NATO and the UN Security Council and the CIA have provided within tribunal settings, unless I decide otherwise. And you guys are not going to coerce me out of that. You guys are not going to coerce me into that. You guys are not going to coerce me or guide me into getting whatever the fuck you guys want, or anything that you guys want. You guys are in a situation of fear and tears and anger Okay, guys. So what I just stated in the first segment of this video recording, it sounded convoluted. It did not sound schizophrenic. If you listen to it over and over and over again, it makes perfect sense. It's technically sound, but it sounded schizophrenic to a person who's a layman or a person who's just tired of being oppressed by the level of intelligence and know-how by the Central Intelligence Agency via me or through me. I understand this. You guys are in shock that I'm not going to allow you guys to get away with what you guys were promised you guys were going to get away with, because you guys are proud Americans, or you guys are friends of proud Americans, or you guys love certain foreigners or immigrants, so you guys have some sort of level of immunity. We listened to the arguments. Okay? So when I say that I'm speeding up, or when you guys say that he actually thinks he's speeding up when he speaks quickly and it makes it damn near impossible to understand, or when he writes in a technical form which is almost impossible to understand or to get around when it's completely comprehensible or easy or too difficult to understand while technically sound, you guys are telling me that you guys are envious of my abilities, you guys are in hate of my abilities, or you guys are in a lot of trouble and you guys are trying to figure out how the hell do we get out of trouble because this motherfucker is too amazing to possibly have done anything silly or criminal or idiotic or negligent as you guys once said he did. You guys must be in a lot of trouble, because I'm pretty sure people who are just ambitious about political and social activism, they would have quit already. They would have quit a long time ago. You guys must be in a lot of trouble, Melvin Ote and Letitia James and LeBron James. You guys must be in a lot of trouble. You guys are supposed to have quit a long time ago. You guys were supposed to have tapped out and accepted the punishment that I initially communicated. Get out of here. Get out of the state of Florida. Stop showing up in the state of Florida. Accept you guys' punishment. Missing limb, missing leg, or years in prison. You guys murdered an individual, and speaking of LeBron James, you guys murdered a little girl. You guys created some sort of a formidable defense strategy and a team to get LeBron James out of trouble, and that's how Letitia James changed the name, her original name, to Letitia James. So once again, I'm going to have to communicate this clearly to you guys. LeBron James was instructed by certain racist agents to murder a little girl who kept spreading rumors. They weren't rumors. An underage female. She was a little girl. She might have been about 14, 15 years old, or something of that nature. I'm pretty sure she was that young, based on all of the documents and the evidence and the family members we have spoken to, and speaking of the FBI and the CIA and INTERPOL. He murdered the young girl in front of a lot of folks, and they have testified. There's so many witness statements, notarized, court confirmed, agency confirmed, and so forth, stating that LeBron James of the Cleveland Cavaliers back in 2007, 2008, 2009 murdered that little girl in front of a lot of folks, and we are pretty sure that he chopped up her body into several pieces, and it was covered up by the movie The Last King of Scotland. He got caught. Everyone in Hollywood confessed. They said LeBron James is going to surrender to the cops very soon, and he's going to accept capital punishment. And if I was to provide leniency to him, he's going to be stuck in a wheelchair, paralyzed from the neck down with only one leg. He got caught. We paralyzed and amputated the leg of Forrest Whitaker. I don't play any games. I'm very serious. That little girl's family members, they want some sort of retribution. And they're not going to speak of a financial restitution ever again. They want to see that young man in prison, in a casket, or completely paralyzed from the neck down for the rest of his life in a wheelchair, sucking on a tube, begging that the medical doctors don't show up and take his life away. That's all they can live with. So Letitia James created a defense strategy. She changed the name, and she said she's going to be Attorney General of New York, and she's going to say that LeBron James was originally from New York, or he was in New York when this young girl stated that she was raped by him, and he sent, and her family, after her family provided similar statements, and this is honestly true. This is honestly true. She lied in so many documents stating that LeBron James' real name is Shawn James or Shawn Jones, and that he has a following and has always had a following based on the commercial that you guys saw of him, King James, in the church, and everyone saying the chosen one. She's that medically insane. She's that incompetent, and she actually believed that actually made sense. So she changed her name to Letitia James. She said, I'm going to be Attorney General of New York, and I'm going to show this bastard who runs the CIA condemning our young boys and girls who are accustomed of having to shoot bullets and ducking bullets, and accustomed of having to sell dope and trafficking dope. And he keeps telling us that it's the wrong way to be, and we just cannot handle it anymore. We are offended. When Melvin Ortega says that Letitia James is competent in revealing this to the African American community, we said that's enough. The mental, we said that's enough. That's enough. That's enough. Melvin Ortega, you are going to refrain from communicating to the Howard University community, the School of Law. They don't want to ever hear from you ever again. They don't want to see you ever again. Letitia James, they don't want to see you ever again. You guys got caught. LeBron James is a murderer. He's not a saint. The song one of Michael Jackson's songs, the black and white video, you can actually hear him saying that LeBron James is a saint. They paid him $10,000 to place this ad-lib in there, this voiceover. He said, when he was approached, he said, LeBron James is a saint. He's clearly a murderer. Based on what we've been told, and based on the conversation we've had with the young man, he said he murdered that young girl because she was talking shit about Jesus Christ running the whole universe. We were in complete shock. So yes, Michael Jackson set him up. But anyway, he's going to be arrested quite soon, and he might end up dead on the news. That's what's going to happen. He's going to end up being arrested or dead on the news. But he's going to pay up as I have detailed. And I have nothing to do with that personally, other than what has been instructed to me, without any sort of objective of setting me up, naturally, to do, with anything. I have nothing to do with anything having to do with imposing harm or injury onto a person. But if he requests that I amputate both of his legs just so that he knows that he'll be able to survive, life, because he's not going to be able to get out of that wheelchair if he does get that sort of pardon, then so be it. I might be able to help him out that way, and that's it. But I don't want to do so, but I'm telling you what the court has recommended. It's my decision to say I cannot do that. I refuse to do that. I refuse to have anything to do with that sort of procedure. Okay, guys? So, that's it. I was King James of Scotland and England. I was the faggot-looking white man with red hair. Okay? LeBron James is just an envious person. He was told that he was Barnabas, and he was told that he was Goliath, and that I slayed him, and he was told that I was Achilles, and he was the character, the Bargabas or Bulgaria. I don't remember the name, but he was that character. I was Achilles, and I killed him. I slayed him. That he was consistently a barbarian who was always in war, killing weaklings, and when I showed up, I always easily killed him. That's what he was told. I never had time for any of that. I was too busy auditing the country. Well, I did what I did in the past, and speaking of history, before this lifetime. And I was never the bad character, I promise you. I was always the sheriff. I was always the person who showed up at the end and said, that's enough. This young man is not fighting war anymore. He's really pathological. He's killing peasants with rakes and stuff, who clearly are not war-minded, who are clearly not soldiers, who clearly are not declaring war part of any war. This young man is a murderer. He's pathological at being criminal-minded, and that's all. That's when I showed up. I said, that's it. I want you guys to know that. Okay? Let it go.